What's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazy Frankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 16 4 key game picks. Let's get into the playoff picture now. Some of it has changed I think mostly in the NFC, but in the AFC, not much has changed in terms of the playoff picture. But here are a couple of things that we do know right now. We know that the Patriots, the Broncos, and the Colts have clinched their divisions in their respectively. The only division that has not been decided yet is the AFC North, and it still is competitive. It's going to go all the way to Week 17 to determine who's going to be the division winner. But anyways, current seedings right now at the moment. Patriots are still the first seed. Denver's still the second seed. The Colts are the third seed. The Bengals are the fourth seed. Pittsburgh currently holds one of the wild card spots at the fifth seed, and Baltimore now moves up to the sixth seed by virtue of San Diego losing their last two games. So now Baltimore now leapfrogs the Chargers, and now they are now the sixth seed. Still in the hunt right now, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Bills, records of 8-6. The Texans, Dolphins, and Browns at 7-7 are the only six teams left in that crowded AFC conference in terms of the wild card that still are in play right now. But by looks of it, by the end of Week 16, a lot of those teams pretty much will be eliminated, even if their records are 8-8. There's other key factors that will play into that, but that's pretty much what you have right now in the AFC. So it's getting a little complicated in the AFC as I kind of thought it might be, but still. Now in the NFC, we only have one clincher, but it's not a division. We know that the Cardinals have clinched a playoff berth, so regardless, they will either be the fifth or sixth seed, so it doesn't matter where they're seated. We do know that they're still clinging on to the NFC West Division lead. As we look at the standings right now, the Cardinals are still the first seed. Detroit now goes back to the second seed because they won their game last week, and Buffalo upsetting the Packers. So that is huge. So the Lions go to the 2 seed for the time being. Dallas, by beating Philadelphia, they now moved into the 3rd seed. And Philly pretty much now looking in the hunt category. The Saints are now the 4th seed by winning their game, and the Falcons by winning their game against the Bears, and the Falcons losing to the Steelers. Now the Saints now are back in first place in that sorry-ass NFC South division. The Seahawks are the 5th seed. Big one coming up against Arizona, and that's going to be one of my key game picks. I will get into that in a few minutes. And the Packers are the 6th seed. And really right now, Philadelphia is the only team that's in the hunt because a lot of teams that I mentioned from last week, they've all been eliminated. So, anyways, before we get into my 4 key game picks, I want to let you know, guys, a couple of things here. Next week's video is going to be a special edition of It's going to be my 4 key game picks special edition. And what I mean by special edition, this is all going to be related mostly to the playoff picture and what key games, if there's any left, that I will mention, that I will bring up and talk about. So it might not be 4 key games. It might be maybe at 3, 2, possibly even 1. It'll be only my thoughts on who will get into the playoffs and who's going to be out. Now, next week's video, anything, like I said, as I'm going to be talking about Week 17, anything can happen. Anything can happen in Week 17. But there's still chances of clinchers right now. From what I've read on NFL.com and watching NFL Network, here's some possible scenarios here. In the NFC South, if the Saints do beat the Falcons, which that's going to be one of my key game picks I will get into, the Saints will clinch the division if the Saints beat the Falcons next week. And if Cincinnati does win their game, if somehow they beat Denver and Pittsburgh loses, then Cincinnati will pretty much clinch the division because even regardless of what the tie they have, they would end up winning the tiebreaker. So there's still a lot of possible scenarios here right now, but like I said, everything will go into Week 17. There'll be more of my jibber jabber and what I want to talk about in terms of the playoff pictures going in. And I also have another announcement to make next week as well. But in the meantime, right now, let's let's now get into my 4 key game picks because I want to keep this video as short as possible. But we'll see what happens and how far I can take this video in. Alright, now, this week's games, now like I said, a lot of it deals with a lot of it deals with too much playoff implications right now. And here are my 4 key game picks for week 16. Key game number 1, speaking of the NFC South, Falcons at the Saints. Now, the Saints coming off a huge statement last week against the Bears. They are pretty much a heavy favorite in this one by the point spread, people. They have the Saints as a 6-point favorite in this one, and I do agree with them. Look, I know Atlanta beat New Orleans back in week 1. That was 15 weeks ago. This is different in terms of now when you're playing a lot of games now and heading towards the end of the season. The way the Falcons have been playing, they've been playing dreadful. They've been awful. You lose to Pittsburgh, plus you lose to Green Bay. Even though you played very hard, you played your hearts out in both those games. And the way the Saints are playing right now, they're playing a little bit with more swagger. But even though you're playing in a sorry division, both these teams rightfully should be eliminated. But because they're in their fight, somebody from the NFC South has to be represented for the playoffs. So yeah, these two teams are still in it. Now, no question if Stephon Jackson will be in for Atlanta because they really need Atlanta needs a running game big time. And Stephon Jackson, there's no word if he's going to be playing in this game or not. That's to be determined. But I know for New Orleans right now, pretty much they got whatever players they have that are not hurt. And really right now, the key, and like I said, the factor now with this game in New Orleans, I know New Orleans hasn't been a good home team this year. But the way they've been playing with some ways, the way they're playing with some desperation right now, I gotta go with the New Orleans Saints here. I think they will beat Atlanta this time. Atlanta, they're just falling apart, especially if they don't have Stephon Jackson for this game. If they don't have him for this game, you gotta go with the Saints here. Even though the Saints I don't have much of a running game, but Drew Brees technically is a better quarterback than Matt Ryan is. So, yeah, if you're going to ask me who wins this game, yeah, you got to go with the New Orleans Saints here. I think the Saints win this one. No question it'll be a close game. I think Atlanta will stay in it, but I think the Saints pull it out here. And I think they'll end up winning the division here in this game here. So, I'm going to pick the Saints over the Falcons. Key game number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Kansas City right now, along with San Diego and Buffalo, have a record of 8-8, and this is a lot riding on for them. I think if Kansas City loses, I would say they're pretty much eliminated. Pittsburgh right now, they have a lot riding on this because they're trying to catch Cincinnati for the division. Now, Cincinnati's next game is against the Broncos. So this is a huge advantage right now for the Steelers. The Steelers right now, they know that KC is not. I know KC's going to be a tough opponent. There's no question. I expect this game to be a very close game here. But Pittsburgh so far has played very well at home, even though their only home loss was against the Buccaneers. It's like I said, this game is this one's a pretty big toss-up here. Because I know both these teams have a lot riding on for Kansas City for the Chiefs to stay alive in the playoff hunt, and for Pittsburgh to try to keep pace with the Bengals for the division. And depending on what happens and all that, it could come down to the Week 17 matchup between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, even though Pittsburgh beat them the first time, but who knows what will happen in the second time. But going to this game right now, who wins this game between the Chiefs and the Steelers? I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers here. They're still good at home, and the way they're playing right now, they're playing as good as football as they can get right now. Kansas City is going to need a lot. They need to rely on their running game. And Jamal Charles is still kind of a question because he did get hurt last week he kind of did play a little bit hurt last week against the Raiders. So they could play a factor in this game. But the way Pittsburgh's been playing right now, I know they're not that strong defensively, but the way they've been playing on offense right now, they've been doing a pretty good job of keeping together right now. And like I said, it might come down to that Week 17 matchup between them and the Bengals for the division. So who wins this game right here? I'm going to give a slight edge here to the Steelers here. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers win this game here. KC is going to need a lot. They really, really have to play flawless football. They cannot turn the ball over. And like I said, this is a tough game for them as they're trying to stay alive in that crowded AFC conference in the fight for the wild card. But I'm going to pick the Steelers here because I think it will come down to that Week 17 matchup. Depending on the outcome of Cincinnati and Denver, we'll wait and see on that one. So I'm going to say the Steelers over the Chiefs. Key game number 3, Colts at the Cowboys. Now, the Colts really don't have anything else to play for other than the fact they more than likely either be a 3 or 4 seed. But if you're the Colts right now, you probably would want that 3 seed. Because depending on who gets the 6th seed and all that, you get the home game. You get the home game. And whoever comes out as the 5th, whoever comes out as that 6th seed, or maybe let's say if they end up as the 4th seed to the 5th seed, they would still get that home field. And the Colts have been a very good home team all year. I know last week they struggled. They did barely win that game against the Texans, but they still ended up winning. Now, Cowboys on the other hand right now, DeMarco Murray's health is a game-time decision because he hurt his hand. He had surgery, and who knows if he's going to be playing in this game. Now, I know the Cowboys still barely clinging on to that NFC East lead against the Eagles, but really, I think the heart and soul of that football team right now really is DeMarco Murray. And him not being in there is going to really affect their running game. Now, I know, like I said, I know the Colts don't have anything to play for right now, but I would at least play a little bit here because you kind of want to fight for that 3rd seed. You're not going to get the 2nd seed or the 1st seed because you lost to both Denver and New England. So there's no way you're going to be any higher than the 3rd seed, but I would at least probably hang on to that 3rd seed at least. So at least keep, well, like I said, you still have that home game, and depending on who's the opponent here, you kind of would still have the advantage here. And like I said, to this game here for Dallas here, look, to Tony Romo, if DeMarco Murray doesn't play in this game, Tony Romo's, you're going to have to really rely on Tony Romo in this game. And I know the Colts defense is not that good. And like I said, I know the experts have the Cowboys as a 3-point favorite here. This game is no question a toss-up here. Let's just say if the Colts have their players playing in this game as well. But like I said, it's a tough one here. Because I know the Cowboys have a lot riding on here because they're trying to wrap up the NFC East division. Tough to say who wins this one. But let's say if the Colts have their starters in there. It's just like I said, this game's a toss-up, so it's really tough to pick here. If the Colts have their starters here, it's really a big toss-up here. And like I said, I know the Colts have already clinched it. Already clinched their division. So who wins this game here? I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys here. Like I said, the Colts really don't have anything to play for. And it would not surprise me in this game if they do rest their starters. But for the Cowboys here, they have a lot riding on. They want to hang on to that lead in that NFC East division. And I think here they will win this game. It will be a very, very close game. But I like the Cowboys here, even without DeMarco Murray, because the Colts, the resting factor, if they want to rest their starters and all that, could come into play. But I expect this game to be close. But I will say the Cowboys will come out victorious in this one, probably by a field goal, no question. And I agree with the experts; they are 3-point favorites. So yeah, I got to go with Dallas here in a very close game. The Cowboys over the Colts. And key game number 4. The second meeting between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. First meeting, Seattle whooped them. And now health issues are becoming a concern for the Cardinals if they're going to their third-string quarterbacks here. Remember, Palmer's out for the year, no Drew Stanton. This is really going to be a huge factor for the Cardinals, even though they clinched a playoff berth. But really right now, it's kind of this pick's kind of a no-brainer, but because I make this as a key game, because this is for the division right here. But this is going to be short and sweet. Seattle is playing at a very high level. Their defense is healthy. There's no question here. I mean, the experts, the people with the point spreads have the Seahawks as an 8-point favorite in this one, and I do agree with them. Quarterback concerns are too much of an issue for the Cardinals here. You got to pick the Seattle Seahawks here. Seattle's just playing at a too high of a level here, And no question that Seattle, I think, will beat the Cardinals here. They are going to steal the NFC West division away from Arizona, and they're going to steal the number one seed for sure. This is a team knowing their defense is healthy. The Legion of Boom is back. They've been playing at a very, very good level right now, and they are going to be enormously dangerous in the playoffs. Anybody who ends up playing Seattle, it's going to be hard to go in there and beat them. I think if somehow, look, I look at it this way. I'm pretty much nailing it down right here. No question, I picked Seattle. The Seahawks are definitely going to beat the Cardinals here because the Cardinals have too much quarterback issues. Everybody's going to have to play at a very high level, and I just don't see them beating the Seahawks here. The Seahawks are just playing very good football right now and at the right time. And that's why they're defending champions, and they're making their statements right now. I guarantee you here, Seattle wins this game here. They will win the NFC West, and they are definitely going to be the number one seed. After everything, the Cardinals had everything made until injuries started piling up for this team, and like I said, it's been a nightmare for this Cardinals team, even though they already clinched the playoff berth. But like I said, for this game here, no question, Seahawks win this one here. Seahawks over the Cardinals. Like I said, people, next week's video is going to be my special Week 17 edition. Depending on what the scenarios will be in terms of the playoff picture and how it is, everything on Week 17 is going to be based on the games and who I believe is going to get in, who's going to get those wild card spots, and whatever key games that are left to determine either a wild card spot or any division. So otherwise, all of my Week 16 picks are going to be posted up at thesportblog.blogspot.com. And until then, I will see you all next week for my special edition of video for week number 17. And I also have a little announcement for that one during that week, so be sure of that. Until then, I will see you all next week for that video. Enjoy your football weekend. Take care.